Okay, we are recording. Hopefully I'll be able to upload this in time. Anyway, continuing in Mad Max, the key was provided by WB Games back when I originally reviewed it. So this isn't Friday, like when I normally try to record these. This is Saturday, because I had jury duty. Technically, I was also summoned for Monday and Tuesday, but didn't need to go down. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that I was down, so didn't really have enough time on Friday for this stuff.
Let's get outside. Let's get some speed.
Alright, yeah, I want to do this. Okay, yeah, I don't have a minefield there to deal with. I'm just thinking, how do I want to do these. Okay. Do want to do some of the stuff. Can I fast travel there and then, it's not really much, is it? Because I'm just thinking, I do want to clear out all this stuff. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to finish up this recording, do the audio processing, get it uploaded in time. But it is something I'm not sure if I will be able to do. So before getting to the tech stuff, yeah, I was not placed on jury, so I don't need to go back on Monday. It's kind of nice, but yeah. I don't necessarily like that. I honestly, because you know, one of the questions was, with being on jury, was would you want somebody like yourself on jury for yourself or someone you care about? It's like the answer for me is no, and I don't like that. That is the honest answer for me. It's I by default believe people when they are speaking to me, and that is so strongly the situation for me. I don't know where the line would be from my application of what is and is not beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is the burden in a criminal case, which is what? You know, I do not like the fact that I do not believe that I could, in fact, you know, properly serve on jury. That I could not. Oh, come on. Oh, wait. I keep forgetting that. I think I even, when I originally played the game, got that.
Sit tight.
But yeah, that I can't contribute, that I can't help, that does upset me, but I mean, that, as I said, is the honest answer. I'm always willing to believe people, and always typically do believe people. Which does come to be problems at times, because I also tend to take things in totality, I guess is a way to put it. Like, I've had this with job interviews, where, what they tell me, I just take as basically complete, and then I don't think of questions afterwards. Like, I don't think of, what did they not mention? That, like, I need to know, what did they not mention, because maybe that's the reason they didn't mention it. It's more likely something like that, though. It's just, what did they, you know, just not mention, because they didn't think of it. I need to ask that question, and it can be a while before I think of it, because of that whole thing. And it's like, that's, no, I would not want somebody that is like that on a jury for myself or somebody I care about. Okay. So I guess is there a way open? No, because go into this. So how is it? Yes, it is. Okay, I just looked. Wait, no, I hadn't gone up here yet. I just went through. Oh yeah. I'm just trying to think what else is. No, I don't think I have anything else to mention in regards to that. Okay, you know what? Alright. I don't know if I can do that yet. I want to go to it, though, because I want to see if that'll add it for fast travel. Because I thought you could fast travel between those. I don't know. So I do have some things on the list to talk about. And I know it's not a complete list. I have been kind of tired this week because I've been busy with other things, having to focus on those other things, and then having to scramble to go through the other stuff. The stuff I normally do. But I got... I don't actually remember what the source is for it. But AMD is working on what will be releasing a B2 stepping for the CPUs, which oh wow, I did not realize how much damage I took. Now, one thing, though, that is interesting about this stepping is, when asked, somebody did put the question to AMD, they said that it is not going to, like, change features or change frequencies, which is interesting, because you do tend to see that. And I think what my own speculation would be this, and I can believe others are as well believing this, that we might see a change with this B2 stepping. It just, excuse me, it might just not be something that they want to, like, create a new bin for and, you know, like, sell plus versions or whatever of the CPU. I guess I should also explain what a stepping is, which I could have this wrong, but my understanding of it, and I think I've talked about this before, I just don't remember now. Wait, there was another one? Alright, get me out. Come on, let me... I honestly didn't realize that guy was safe. All the way down there. So obviously it is AMD that designs their processors, but they're not the only ones involved. The actual fab is also involved in the design. Okay?
I didn't see me coming to this.
And
Right away.
the stepping can be basically the result of AMD working with their fab to improve it. So a new stepping, it's like a minor revision, I guess would be a way to put it, to the design. So it can produce a more efficient chip, so it can use less power, it can clock higher. That can happen from a stepping. It is also completely possible, though, that a new stepping improves yields. That's not so much going to be efficiency, but it's like, okay, we realize that this specific design, like the way this cluster of transistors is fabricated, isn't really that great. That, you know, it works, but it has a higher probability of error. So if we change it to this design, which is going to be functionally identical, it's more resistant to errors. That can also be what happens with a stepping. With a new stepping, that can, yeah, that works. And that is in fact how it works in some cases, because you'll see, like, oh, didn't realize I already had that one.
Behold! Deep treadies! Oh, it becomes her.
You'll see, like, engineering samples that the difference between engineering and, well, I guess not necessarily engineering, but and production can be the stepping, where it's like, no, the design's good, the design's done, but it's getting those tweaks in there so they can more confidently hit the speeds that they want, more confidently hit the yields that they want. That is part of what a stepping is. So a B2 stepping doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't have to mean that they will perform better. It could be yields, but it could also be, that this will end up, that you'll see more of them that perform better. Only time will tell for that.
Wait here.
But considering the shortages that a lot of people are suffering from, technically in a way I am. Just the whole, I do want to get one of the RDNA 2 GPUs, but I can't because, well, I'll also be honest, I haven't looked for a while because, like, to my knowledge, the pricing is still nuts. So it's like, why would I even bother right now? That potentially is neither here nor there. And it's, I'm not looking at the new, at the CPU. Although I think I could put a beta BIOS on the test system to use one. I would just need to check, because I think at one point MSI did have, with the beta BIOSes for the B450 mortar, I think at one point they did have it where that got rid of voltage offset. And I do like that. I do want to keep that, so I wouldn't go to that just for a new CPU for the occasional testing. And I do say occasional testing because I probably would want to be going back and forth at times in comparing the CPU. Yeah. That should do it. There, get water. The next thing I have is about the patent that I'm not. It was published, so it was made public this week. But it was originally filed in November 2019. And it describes a super resolution technology. It's referred to as gaming super resolution within the patent. Maybe this is the underlying method behind the upcoming Fidelity Effect super resolution. We don't know. This could have been a method that... The thing with companies and patents is they file them on speculation as well. I feel like I've been here. I can figure this one out. Yeah, I actually do remember. It's like, they may have ideas that are patentable, and they just, to protect themselves if they want to use it later, they will do that. So, sort of like how, because there actually was a patent a while ago for a substrate supporting, like, GPU chiplets. But then there was another one added, released later, that it was an active substrate. So it's an active interposer, meaning that there was actually logic circuits in there. That's the one that I know I talked about where it had the
I doubt a fiberglass helmet would stop a bullet. Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah, it could still help. There are some weird things that can happen. But anyhow, so it's like that first one, to my knowledge, has not been used. But the second one, where it's got the logic built into the substrate, I think it was more or less the Infinity cache. It's there was a memory bar that was built in. Oh, I just noticed that on the ground. And it's, you know, that it's more advanced. It would be more costly, but it would probably be more capable. So you're more likely, it's reasonable then, you're more likely to see that become a feature in some product than the previous,
The mighty duster!
than the other. So if that's the case, why would they bother patenting the other one? Well, because it was an idea that they had that made sense to them to patent and might, you know, prove the basis for other things, or just say, you know, patent it to be certain. To be certain that it will be yours. So I'm just saying all that to kind of couch the idea that just because it is patented doesn't necessarily mean it will be used. But still, the method it describes is very interesting. I don't understand all of it. I understand some of it. I don't understand all of it. But there are certain aspects to it that are definitely interesting. So I guess I should explain the larger goal. So I don't know why they're called super resolution. I mean, I guess it does because it's above. The output is above the resolution that you had before as the input. But the DLSS is considered in that family of super resolutions, where you take a low resolution image and then you do some, I almost want to say trickery, but that's a bit dismissive, and I don't quite mean it that way. But you do some manipulation to achieve a higher output resolution than the input. Okay.
Right. I'll remain with the angel.
And no, 5. There it is, 3. Okay. And obviously since DLSS 1 was announced, as bad as a technology, as bad an implementation as that was, it's still the case that since then people have been, okay, what's AMD's response going to be? Okay. I guess I just leave. Anything? Don't see anything. Okay. So with DLSS, the way that works, my best understanding, at least initially, okay, I guess I did actually take care of that. It just, nothing seemed to happen. But the way it... there we go. The way it initially worked, at least, was going to NVIDIA. It would initially be run through a supercomputer, they claim, to basically render at least portions of a game at a very high sampling frequency. I think they claim 64x, so that's 64 samples to a single pixel. And that would then be used to train via deep learning, which is a specific kind of AI. But they would train it so that they then had this trained neural network that could be run on the GPU, specifically with the tensor cores, because that's the implementation they decided to use. It's not that you necessarily need tensor cores for this kind of work. It's that that's how they decided to implement it. So that then when the game is running at a low resolution, this neural network is able to basically look at parts of the image and be like, oh, I know what that is supposed to look like, I think. And say, I can guess what that's supposed to look like, and then it will upscale it and add the proper detail it thinks in order to produce the higher resolution image. But by virtue of it having been rendered at low resolution and then this basically post-processing effect, the end result is greater performance with still a high output resolution, high amount of detail it seems, but it's not necessarily true. It's like, I know I've seen issues in that I have seen flaws, things where it's like, no, the original image is better. And weird things, like I don't know why lighting is affected, as I've observed, but I have observed that, so that's what it is. So, part of how DLSS 2.0 works is it still uses a trained neural network, but it has been generalized. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about the AMD tech, but I want to get the baseline understanding, I guess is a way to put it, about DLSS 2.0 or 2.1. I don't remember. I think we might actually be on 1, but anyway. I think I pulled them off because I wanted to do that to make sure neither of them move, or at least not punch. With this new version, what it does is instead of only using, at least I think it, I don't remember if DLSS 1.0 had a temporal element to it, but at least it does now. 2.0 does have a temporal element to it, so it takes multiple frames, current and so many previous frames, and feeds that all into the neural net, so it has more information to work with in order to figure out, okay, what is the output image supposed to be. And it is technically still guessing, but it has more information. It's using the generalized models, so it's intended to be better, to be more accurate, and more applicable. Not quite to the level of, like you can just toggle it on for any and all things, but better. Okay.
Why don't you tell me about it?
I
I'm gonna let
Too
talk.
many nooks and tunnels and dugouts to say for sure.
Better find the right one.
So what this AMD gaming super resolution technology does is completely different. For one thing, I did a search. There is the word temporal does not appear at all in the patent. And indeed what it describes in no way mentions or makes you think that it would use any temporal accumulation. Okay? Not that there's anything wrong with that, you don't necessarily need that. Though it will be interesting if we might see a version that does come to use it. What it appears to do, the best I can guess from what I read, and could understand, it takes a lower resolution image. Okay, so you still doing the whole renders at low resolution. It then downsamples, it said, which it also said they would use upscaling algorithms, so I guess downsampling is what they call, it is like a more technical term or whatever for upscaling, but anyhow, it upscales the image multiple times with both a linear upscaling method and a nonlinear upscaling method. It then takes all those feature maps, which I do think is important. They're feature maps, not necessarily images or frames. It takes all of that, and then it uses a non-linear method think it said it was a nonlinear method, to combine them. And I'll explain a little bit more about the nonlinear stuff here. It takes that to then
I think I see it.
pick the details
I'll be watching.
out of those the feature maps to produce the output image. And one thing neat about that is it very explicitly states in the patent the number of pixels in the output image is the number of these feature maps used. Which is neat because that does mean then that it does have that variability as far as how much you can apply it to. Because like DLSS 1.0 did have that problem where there were certain resolutions that like wouldn't necessarily get to. Why am I might be kind of sort of misremembering that. I do know that I did have the whole it's that, didn't I? It did have the whole like the RTX 2080 would not allow DLSS to be applied at 1920 by 1080 because the cost of applying DLSS was actually more than the performance benefit you'd get. DLSS 2.0 doesn't have that limitation. Now there is certainly more to that than I can necessarily explain, because as I said, I don't completely understand all the underlying stuff here. Stuff to the method, but it is certainly interesting because the whole, and also the fact that it's the feature maps, they're not like just other images, and it's also
Ledge.
come on brain, turn over. It does state in there that they can contain color information, non-color information, and features that include color and non-color information. Which I wonder if that's part of the whole it needing to be integrated into the pipeline versus being something that could be toggled on, basically. And by just toggled on, I mean like driver's side. But at the same time, though, I do wonder, because of what's described, if you could, like if you limited it to just color information, which would be final output, could you potentially use it as like a sharpening filter on top? I don't know. Really interesting to see, but it could also prove to be that because the method doesn't require the temporal stuff, the temporal accumulation, that it could prove to be easier to integrate. I think I did see some stuff talking about the expectation for fidelity super effect resolution. Sorry, fidelity effect super resolution, there we go. Is that it should be easier to integrate.
I heard tell there's one who knows how to cook powder here.
And if I was that one?
I'd get you out of here. Are you him or not?
Yes. Yes, I am. Seeing as you killed those two who fed me. They call me Blastcap. Hail from the Bullet Farm.
And also, I did forget to mention this. So, DLSS uses learning.
Lighthouse.
They're
waiting for you.
Righto. I'm going now.
Patent straight up states deep learning does actually have weaknesses with certain information being lost. I think it did specify that was color information, but just it does straight up say that it has problems. That deep learning has problems, but this method doesn't. Which does make some sense because... Okay, yeah, I came from... for what is described, it's not going to be using so much guesswork. Because that legitimately is how DLSS works. It guesses. It is given this low resolution image, and it guesses what detail it is supposed to add to make the higher resolution output seem accurate. Yeah, and people think that, oh, it's so revolutionary, it's so impressive. It's like, yeah, it's still guesswork. So you can't have issues, and it's also funny how people, and I know I've talked about this before, how people would be like, oh, it's a temporal accumulation system, and oh my, sorry, not accumulation, reconstruction, and oh my god, this is so impressive, it's so important, nothing can ever compare to this. It's like, okay, we've had reconstruction methods for a long time, like, seriously, a very long time. Morphological filtering, MLAA for anti-aliasing, that's a reconstruction method. It is. It legitimately is. And yeah, a lot of people don't like it. Though SMAA is definitely a good implementation. I'm so annoyed that there's one thing that I didn't find in here. Boy. So I'm just gonna go back. This doesn't seem to directly, at least, use a reconstruction method. Uses the convolution stuff. So what is that? Let me try to explain that, because I think I do know. I think I've had that come up before in my life such that I have an explanation. And it is related to AI, in that some, and I think it is neural nets, do rely on these convolution functions, algorithms. Oh, here we go. It's convolution, if you actually look it up, means folded. So something's convoluted, it's like it's folded in on itself multiple times. That's technically what the actual definition is, even though that's not necessarily how anyone applies it. But I want to say that these algorithms, that is basically what it is. You take something like a linear method, a linear algorithm, and you can repeat it on itself over and over again in such a way that you'll actually get something that is no longer linear. And that is a convolution. Okay? Sure, why not? It's right over here. So that might be part of what's going on there, and it is, as I was trying to say, it is related to, not that, I guess it's two then to call Chum over with the car? Yes.
I'm here for you.
Come on, Brain Chum.
Oh, that's fantastic! Like flying!
Oh, no, it's not even up. I could have just kept walking.
Enemy! Closing in on us! Let go!
I'm just over here to talk to this guy.
Don't stray.
Gal.
Before you let fly your deadly lead, let me say, I wish to thank you. You've rid this place of the roadkill thrall rustlers. A token. Let me show you this lovely little land of loot.
Most infidels fail to recognize the sacred parts of the great spiritual schemes scattered across the hills and valleys. I recognize their scrap treasure.
Okay. Let him finish talking. He's nuts, but let's let him finish anyway. And it is possible that this was not here until I talked. So it might still be the case that this gaming super resolution does apply through the convolution stuff a level of AI, but it's also, it is accurate to say a level of AI, because that AI is a lot older than people realize. Like OCR, optical character recognition, is actually an AI. That is a form of artificial intelligence and is decades old. It's completely true. It really is. It really is a form of AI because it tries to train itself to better recognize the character. But it's so old at this point. It is so established, it isn't recognized as AI anymore. It's basically, it's... You're actually not supposed to be on. Because I'm supposed to have the spikes that make it where you can't get. Anyhow, I can check that when I get back to G's place, the stronghold. So it might just be that what this is applying is still AI, but not at a level that everyone would necessarily say, oh yeah, that's AI. Or that AMD would push that, oh, this is AI, like NVIDIA pushes that DLSS is AI. Not to say that it's not AI, just that NVIDIA definitely does push that in its market. You know, get that little bit of health there, since I got the water. Yeah, I am definitely interested in seeing what fidelity effect super resolution will end up being. And as I said, it is entirely possible that this, and I try to make this point in what I wrote up as well, that this patent does not directly relate to it. Trying to decide how best I want to get over there. Because I don't... I would think it's that, in which case then I don't want to just go flying off this way. It is possible that the method that they actually are going to use does operate differently. It would be interesting if they were to decide to use... It would be interesting if this were to end up being... So I'm also going back to sneeze a little bit. If they were to have a version of that, like I was talking about earlier with the interposers for connecting the GPU chiplets, if they actually, you know, because there was one version, then another more advanced version, if there's another more advanced version of this patent, or this technology described in the patent, that would also use temporal accumulation to help it get some of the information it needs at a reduced cost. Wow, there's a lot of guys coming out of there. Because the nice thing about temporal accumulation is you're using data that you already had to produce anyway, so it's effectively free. Yeah, because that is one thing that did occur to me with when I was reading the stuff on that, is as far as like just general GPU processing, this might not be that bad, but it might use a lot of memory because it's, you know, all those feature maps have to be stored. Now it could also be the case so that they can be nicely compressed, or that because they're not always including color information, but other information, maybe that stuff takes up less space. But my point being, I do wonder about memory use. That's something that can only be known once it's actually, if that technology is used, or if it isn't, once Fidelity FX Super Resolution is out, it's only then that we will be able to know what kind of performance cost it might have. And it's also the case with temporal, you would still need to store that there, but the processing, the actual generation of the images might be reduced then because, well, we already had to generate it for the previous frame, we're just holding on to it. So yeah, it could, it should, if they have a version with that could be quite interesting. But it could also introduce some issues as well. Like, I know I saw some complaints from people with Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition that with DLSS enabled, they could observe a lot of ghosting, especially for high contrast scenarios. So, like having and I did also observe it, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Okay. But I saw people also pointing out with like the dots on a site. So it's like how it's dark right there. If you zoom in with that, then you have the single dot, and if you go like that, you'd see ghosting trails. I think I was also seeing that though, even without DLSS. I actually don't remember now at this point if it was. I was only seeing that with DLSS on or not. But the Enhanced Edition does use temporal accumulation regardless. They do have their own system for using that because, I mean, the work involved for all the ray tracing and such, they need that. It is still the case, there is no GPU capable of fully ray tracing an image. Well, fully ray tracing a game at the speed necessary for gaming. That is a fact. It really is. They do different tricks and cheats to get around that. Like the denoising is one definite example. Because when you don't have enough rays being cast to produce the final image accurately, what you do have is noisy. So you use the denoising filter to reduce that amount of noise. I'm just kind of curious. I know this technically is not great, but I'll still try to take it. It actually did get me here too. Yay! There. And when I say, yes, they are using tricks and cheats, I'm not... Please do not take that to imply being dismissive. I do find this stuff actually quite interesting and fascinating, how they do it. And it is fairly often pretty impressive, too. But it is still... They are doing things in a way to get around a fundamental issue that you can't produce enough rays to get an image that would actually be acceptable for gaming with the current technology. They have to apply various things in order to get around that. One would be the temporal accumulation. I know that also with just Metro Exodus, I would assume it's still the case with the Enhanced Edition. But I saw that thing that I talked about in the anti-aliasing article that I did a while ago. The stochastic sampling as a way to address aliasing. Which is really, really cool. I'm saying it's just so clever to do that. You know, let me. We can do this. Get out. Give me water. Okay. So, except for the races, I have all this cleared, it seems. And I'm good with that. Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna fast travel here. I don't know how long I've been going. There's a little bit more I want to talk about. But, anyway, the stochastic sampling is a way to address the noise in the image. Sorry.
Dangerous things to think.
Because, well, by changing where you're sampling, where the ray is being cast constantly, you are helping with accumulating the information to make it more accurate. A better representation in the...
Tell ya.
Whereas stochastic sampling for like traditional rendering, that's a method where the aliasing can still happen, but appears as noise, which we don't notice so much. And you can also apply that with ray tracing, so that you don't notice some of the issues in it. What? I am confused by that, because this is all of his territory. It has to be in... Oh! I missed some over here. Let me check. How long have I been going? Perfect. That is perfect. I will actually finish off Jeet's territory. I won't talk to him just yet. I want to just make sure I have the things built. Then I'll talk to him. Wait. Did it say project? Oh, I already have that. Okay. This one I don't. There's one. And I'm also kind of... Hang on. I'm just going to get a drink of water. Okay, that helped. At least the drink of water helped me with, clearing my throat. And yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought a little bit with what I was getting at. I mean, I know I was talking about how ray tracing is very difficult. How did I necessarily get to the... Oh, yeah, talking about that. Yeah, there's a train of thought there. It's just not necessarily that useful. Yeah, these are all interesting technologies to me. All quite interesting. So it is going to be neat to see more come out, especially because, like with AMD, it's going to be part of Fidelity Effects, which is through GPU Open, which means it's going to be open source. So you're going to see... Okay, so... I'm just... No, I do still need to talk to them. So you're going to see... You know, potentially others able to... come up with their own versions, like with Tress Effects, which I also saw, by the way, that is now coming to Unity.
We know how to cook that powder, but we don't have the makings. We got coal, but sulfur, you gotta recon a source for that. And then, something that we can't mine, salty peat. Gotta farm that. Grows and pissing on corpses. You gotta find sulfur and peat.
No. I bring you the prisoner, you get me ammo. That's the deal.
Take these! It's all I got. You need more, you get me more sulfur and peat.
Okay.
My scouts...
Yeah, so that goes into there, so I'm not going to worry about that for a while yet.
I'll mark anything I find with red flares.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's... Oh, yeah, and... Yeah, I have the highest border defense. How are they still jumping on? And here, let's... Okay, so... Here. I didn't realize I had a partners. There we go. I prefer this. I'll come back to using that event. I just want to clear the dot. No, let's just keep going. And, you know, worry about upgrading stuff later. But yeah, one of the other things, I didn't write it up. In part because it was just like a video and that's all. Yeah, plugin for Unity that will make the use of Tress effects for it easier. And Tress effects, in case you don't remember, that's the hair tessellation, so it can make much more detailed hair and even hair movement than traditional methods. And like NVIDIA's response was Hairworks, but Tress Effects does predate it. It is one of those where, you know, AMD did come out with it first. So yeah, the other... Actually, I should... Man, this week has been weird.
My tracks leading into that passage over there. A hideout, perhaps?
Because I also just realized I've got two more notes here. One is Phantom Abyss, and the other is Biomutant. But I also forgot. I should also talk about the Purple Panda switches, since that review came out. And... Anyway, it's still the Boba U4 switches. Those are my favorite. But... And the Purple Pandas are solid. They are such good switches. They really are. I don't know what exactly, but at some point I will probably use them in another build. Maybe they'll be the permanent things I have in the NK65. But it is also, I know I want to do, like... There's two more types of keyboard builds I'd like to do. At some point, one being a split. So that's actually, you know, like left half of the keyboard and right half of the keyboard are separate parts that are connected via a wire, so you can change the position and such. The other is I'd like to try doing a... I don't know if I want to do like the plank or the pionic, and I have reasons why for both. My pros and cons for them. But they are ortholinear keyboards. The plank is a 40%, so you look at your keyboard. You got, you know, the main body of keys, you know, like from the row with the spacebar up to the number row. 40%, you lose the number row. And you don't have anything else around. You don't have the function row with the F keys. You don't have numpad. You don't have the arrow keys. You don't have the navigation cluster, which is the insert, delete, home, and page up, page down. That's the nav cluster. I may regret this. Still didn't do it. Oof.
Be careful! She's tough, but also sensitive!
Keep an eye on the car.
40%, yeah, is without that, and ortholinear itself is kind of weird, so you look down at your keyboard, you know keys are staggered well, along the columns. Ortholinear, they're not staggered, obviously. And I would like to try that. And I would want to get one of the actual OLKB designs, which are the plank and the prionic. The prionic is a 60% ortholinear, so it does have that number row back. And the reason... So I like the idea of the plank because it's just really compact, So, and without the number keys, I could still work with that. I could still use that for, say, like just with my laptop, whenever I've got stuff I just want to write, because I tend not to need numbers when I'm just writing. And that way it's small, it's more compact, great. The Prionic, though, having that number row would make it more appropriate for gaming. Because there are a number of games like this one, you do need the numbers. So having access to those without having to go to a layer would be advantageous for gaming. Yep. That's the last one. Not this one. I do need to go back the way yeah, so I don't know. Because it's like the Prionic, because it's got the extra row, it's not as compact, and it's like, well, I already got a 60%. So it would come down more so to what it is I want to do with it. But it's I will not, because I want to do some kind of write-up. I wouldn't bother getting one until at least I'm through with the current proper switches that I have, which is gonna be months. So I'm currently using JWK linear, unlubed. And they are actually surprisingly smooth for being unlubed, so it will be interesting to see what lubing them will produce. What kind of impact that will actually have. But I also have a version of these that functionally identical, except except they also have dampeners on the stem, so that they're silent linear. And I'm curious. I really do want. I am looking forward to making the comparison there, and I will lube both of them. Depending, I'll probably. My guess is I would enjoy the dampened ones more because I prefer a silent typing experience. But we'll see. Maybe the dampeners make it kind of mushy. I've heard that complaint about some silent switches. It's not the the W4s do not feel mushy to me. Just that's the only other silent switch I got. But the dampeners are definitely a different design between them. Yeah, so it is. I got all that, so I got them dry to do first, and that's got 2-3 weeks more to do, more for using these the non-silent linear. And then I'll want to do like 3-4 weeks with the silent ones, and then I'll probably come back and do a week with the with these as they are, then lube them, and then use them some more, and then probably again spend maybe a week with the dampened ones dry, and then lube them. And I'm depending on which I like more, because I do have switch films. I will film one of them. I'm just not sure which will end up being. Like, let me get to the dampened ones, because if they are kind of mushy, I might not bother filming them. We'll just have to see. Yeah, because I don't think filming can address that. I think filming is more about addressing housing wobble, and also even if there isn't really much housing wobble, it can still help with the sound. But yeah, the purple panels, they were different. And I'm just unsure what I will do with them, but I do want to do something. Maybe I would put them in, if I get a blank Prionic, into that. There's also part of me that, well, I don't need to spend it. But, like if I were to replace the Cooler Master board that's with the test system, But to be fair, that is not high on my priority list to replace that board, because really all that needs, when I had the double shot PBT keycaps on there, it was so much better. So I could just try to get a different set of keycaps for that and be satisfied there. And that would be a lot cheaper than building a board. So since I would also have to buy keycap for it. So we'll have to see what I do with that. Here. But yeah, I would like to.
Is a road. Gonna bind your soul to your road.
We'll just have to, see how things go with that. But then, I know I keep going down a path and getting distracted. Well, here. What is that? Yeah, I need to do that.
We have all the makings, all the pieces. We stand ready to finish the jack now. The final touch.
Okay.
We can and must lay at Dirk Gash's stronghold.
Okay, so now I know I need that. In the meantime, then, I'm gonna go back to the good stuff. Yeah, I'll leave the body. I don't think there's actually anything I can hear. I think that'll just be... I don't really use a sniper that much, so I think it's mostly going to be the upgrades for Max that'll matter. Oh, everything else is gated behind something else. I don't think I actually can unlock anything. I don't think I have advanced for that yet. I'll get there. Don't need that. Oh, I have skills and tools. I'm on good. Alright, what's this? I just don't recall seeing that icon there.
Say, if you're looking to gain the favor of the gods, you
So,
do a death run. Crodazzle's not
come back to the other two things I've noted here. Phantom Abyss. That's Devolver Digital. And it was weird because it's like I'm reading. It's like, how is this gonna work? But in like watching the announcement trailer for it and reading through the press release completely, it's like, okay, I get it. This is actually kind of neat. So, in a way, I think it's fair to say it is kind of like a racing battle royale. Not completely, but there are certain elements. So it will work by players are put into procedurally generated temples, okay, and you need to run through them. And there are traps there, and there's also various relics. sounds like, as far as the relics are concerned, when you get one, that's when you leave. You only get one run in a temple, though. Once you do that, then you're done. You don't come back to it. Whether you get a relic or you die, doesn't matter. You're done after one run.
Look, yonder!
Now, they are, however, even though they are procedurally generated, they are not like limited to just the player. That's the point I was trying to get to. But was being distracted by them. So you can have up to 50 player ghosts. So player ghosts, that is how they run. Other runs that other players have made that you can follow, so you can see them, so see where other people died and such. So even though it is a non-brain turnover, it is procedurally generated. It is not unique to everyone. There are things that are shared, and also there's a single legendary relic in every temple. A legendary relic, once collected, seals the temple, so no one else gets to go there. So that's how it is in my mind. Yeah, it is still kind of like a battle royale because there is a single victor, even though more people get to try. And you can, by the way, share codes, so that somebody else can do the same temple as you. It's like, oh, this is so fun, share it with your friends. And there's even a code for sharing like a playlist of temples. I would assume though that it would skip ones that you if you just by chance did a temple that a friend has also done that you won't get back in there. And it will be out in early access. I think it's in June. I think it's coming up.
Watch your back, Saint.
I will say, based on what I saw in the trailer and read,
Meaner. He camps in a hulk lay down in the Great White. His clan were water people, pirates, slavers. They say he foretells the rising of the seas again.
What can you offer me?
Heavy plates of steel armor, grills, and other life-saving defenses are his speciality. At a hefty cost, of course.
Sorry, let me finish talking. The one thing that I am concerned with about it is the whole how you don't get to revisit a temple. I do feel that is something that could prove problematic. And to be clear, when I say that, what I mean is, I know I would want, it doesn't necessarily have to count for anything, but the ability to go in and you just try again to practice, if nothing else.
And we'll tear that tire right off.
Say, I would still like to have that capability. So I would like it, and it could just be, replay just for training. If they just had a training option that allowed you to go in and redo anything any temple you've previously done, I think that would be a good feature to have. And maybe even, open up a classic temple kind of thing, where it's like, okay, you failed this, but here, we'll let you try again and see what happens. It's like, I could see that still being something that could be done within the realm of the spirit of the game, but don't know. We'll when it comes out, we'll see. I also want to talk about Biomutant for a couple reasons. One is, there was the new explanation trailer for it that did give some neat information. The other is, I don't think I'm gonna review. I am interested in it, but I would have wanted to put in the review request like this past week, or the week before, and I had jury duty. I mean, jury duty really did come at an inconvenient time, because that's coming out next week, and I don't think I have the time. Yeah, it's next week. I don't think I have the time to be able to put into reviewing that game and having it out in time. And it's like,
Something I have to do here.
I don't care where you
I'm not comfortable with requesting a key when it's like, yeah, I'm probably not going to make an embargo date on that. Yeah. Plus, I've got, I won't say for what, but I do have a key for a different game also coming out soon that I'll see if I get to it or not. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I am kind of exhausted from jury duty. Need to catch up on various things, and also, I had to shift my sleep schedule quite a bit, and that, either recovering from that or deciding to just go with it as is, I need to figure out how that's going to work out for me. And you might be wondering what changed concerning my sleep schedule. I typically before would be like waking up, getting up kind of late in the day, kind of later in the day, you know, it's late enough that you wouldn't want to say I couldn't do that if I had a real job. But I would then also stay awake until, like, midnight was very common for me. And sometimes later, working past midnight. Not really, and I had to change it so that I could be up at 8. And it's just getting, I'm either going to have to, stick with the current schedule I have, or go back to my old one, or something in the middle, and I don't know yet which it will be. And as I said, I'm also still recovering some from the exhaustion of jury duty, because even if it is, and hopefully some of you understand this, even though a lot of it was just sitting around waiting, that is still actually exhausting. Kind of like how it is actually exhausting when doing a review playthrough. It's like, yeah, I'm just sitting there playing a game, but at the same time, I am... Okay, I'm gonna get back. But at the same time, I am... I don't want to... that. I am, like, on mic the entire time, and that really does make it exhausting. And for anyone wondering, my goal is just to get up there and do the scan. Then I intended to stop. But this storm is gonna mess with that some. Although it looks like I am able to be in shelter here. At least to some degree. Okay, yes, because that's a... Whoop. I'll go that way. I am on fire. Oh, figures. Well, this is why... Well, this is one... Oh, crap. That is a reason why you, Actually, wait a minute. Hang on. This... Let me start this. In some case... Come on! In some cases, you actually can... Okay, not in this case. But I do remember there have been encountering some doors before where you actually could, use the harpoon on them. Yeah, I really need to get in. Oh, crap. Okay, down here. I should be safe right here. Should be. But yeah, so it's just the whole, because of things, and it could just be, you know, like between today, Saturday, because it's still in the morning, and tomorrow, Sunday, it'll be good, and then I'll be able to get to work on the other game, and, oh, shit. Oh, wait, no, that hit up there, so I'm good. There is another game that I haven't gotten the key for yet, but I think I can expect it soon. So we'll just have to see how some of that stuff works out with the time. Since I'm forced to wait here, one thing that I did on Monday and Tuesday, I had the time, was I worked on some scripts for some stuff that I've got no idea when I'll actually do that. I think I've talked about it before. I wanted to do an article looking at variable rate shading, like doing the research into exactly how that functions, and also have data to show its impact. I wrote some scripts for getting data out of the 3D Mark feature tests of it that are... I figured out how to use %mon along with these scripts, so I'm going to use that data instead of, what 3D Mark reports, which does have certain problems with it, because I think %mon might also be capturing some loading time in there, but regardless. I think I did figure out, well, it's like 7 seconds consistently for one of the tests, so I can just give it the first 7 seconds with that test and be okay, but, anyway, I have some data for that, and it is basically, you know, what I would expect for that, and we'll just have to see what comes with that article. That could be months before I have that done, because I'll need to do research, I'll need to collect data,
Blasting ends!
alright. Since, you know, I have now 2 games, CUSM 4 and Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition, that offer, that have variable rate shading as an option, as a setting. Only problem is, I actually observed performance regressions with, command brain turnover with Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition, which does not make much sense to me. Like, it really doesn't. I don't know why that would be the case. Yeah. So, I might not end up using it.
The smell of barbecuing meat is everywhere. But not the kind you'd want to eat.
I need to remember which button it was I wanted to. So yeah, I might not end up using it, and I did try reaching out, but I haven't heard anything back yet. Because it does not make sense that enabling variable rate shading would in any situation cause performance to get... To be fair, I was using the RTX 2060, and I enabled DSR to then actually increase the resolution to about 4K. It's like that's where it was having the problem, but it doesn't make sense that without VRS enabled, it would perform better than with VRS enabled. Yeah, it's really, really weird there. And yeah, I know I need to scan around here more closely. So that could just be a bug. Could be a weird quirk with the 2060 as well. I don't know if I really want to bother getting 2080 data, because for what I can most easily do, I just don't see the value to doing that. You know, it's the whole, it's connected to a 1920 by 1080 screen, the test system. And I don't like using DSR or VSR. I really don't like DSR. Yeah. So it's, you know, I don't, with E space. I'm used to many games you just jump and then you automatically grab it. There, might as well just, you can try grabbing the thing. The stuff the storm blew in. Which seems odd, didn't think they would stick around. Don't think they do. I don't know how you get up.
Keep the car safe.
Yes, gladly. It is my
One
sacred place.
So, do this. Yep. Now I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to talk about. Nothing much is really coming to mind. But I do want to try to grab these things since they're still here. And then I'll probably actually warp back to Jeep's place so that that's where I start. Because that'll also, like, refill me on everything. And that would be good for next time. Right there. Oh. Yeah, I can. There is something pretty cool that hopefully the coverage I'll have for it will go live on Tuesday. If not, you'll see it in other places on Tuesday, I'm sure. And it's definitely pretty cool. I cannot say more than that because of the embargo, but just there is something pretty cool coming on Tuesday. Yeah.
Follow this track, yeah? Follow.
It would. I do wish I could say more, but I like genuinely can't because it is under embargo. Yeah, that's just how that is. And okay, yeah, because I'm here, I'm gonna do this right now. Because snipers are annoying in this game and other games, including when I'm the sniper. I know I can be annoying when I'm sniping, both to anyone trying to watch that gameplay and to if I'm like playing with somebody and doing a multiplayer game and I'm sniping, I know I mean, it's part of how that works. Alright. There. Unfortunately, I don't think this will restore to me the gas can. And let me guess, hour and 10? How long have I been going? I'm actually like quit out to find out instead of alt tabbing. Trying to think if there's anything else. And I'm sure there is. I'm just not able to think of it. Okay, almost an hour and a half. I am sorry. I am sorry. I let myself take that long. I do enjoy the game, though. I mean, yeah. I do enjoy the game. Alright, should see you next time. There's nothing else coming up that may disrupt it like jury duty did this week. Yeah. Just see you then.